Yes, my people, what's going on? Welcome to another presentation from CBS, of course, of Numbers Don't Lie, powered by Sofascore. We dive into the biggest footballing discussions around the globe. And if we're going to be anywhere in the globe, a world of football this week, you know where we need to be, down in Germany. With this conversation as FC Bayern are doing what they do best. And we hear from you guys. We hear you guys in the comments, so make sure you get involved once again, saying, is this the best attacking team in world football? You know, if we're going to be doing this, I need a running mate. So shout out to my boy Chris Witty entering the stage. So Chris, you heard the people. This is the call to action. I need to know from you, first of all, is Bayern Munich the best attacking team in the world right now?
No, I know we've got a lot of numbers that will say that this is the best attacking team in the world. For me, though, qualitatively, what I see with my eyes, I still think it's Barcelona with what Lamine Yamal delivers, what Rafinha and Rashford and Lewandowski and Pedri, and the amount of brilliant attacking players that they have delivered week in and week out. But Bayern have been absolutely on fire to start the season.
Let's dive straight into it, because for me, the only first place that we need to look at is the goals. That's going to be your currency when you're talking about any team across Europe. And when you dive in to look at Bayern Munich's numbers, especially the way they've started this season, Chris, just tell me your takeaways when you see the way they compare against the other top teams across Europe.
Yeah, I mean, nearly on 4 goals a game at the early stage of the season. They're not just top, they're top by an enormous distance compared to Eintracht and Marseille and Inter and Real Madrid, who round out the top 5. But I think what you see is a team that not only is dominating in their domestic league, but dominating in Europe as well, in the Champions League, scoring tons of goals against Chelsea and against Pafos. But also, they played some of the best teams in the Bundesliga already. They played Der Klassiker at the weekend, they played RB Leipzig on the opening day, and they score tons of goals.
Witty, I want to dive into these because, as we say on this show, men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't. And Bayern Munich just seems to be, from the get-go, attacking teams, putting themselves on the front foot. Vincent Kompany seems to be getting the best out of his team in his sophomore season. And look at it, the goals per game, they speak for themselves. The XG, of course, they speak for themselves as well. The shots on target, wow, are they dominating teams in the final third? And the big chances that they're creating really speak volumes about the way and the fluidity in the which this Bayern Munich team is attacking teams right now. But when we're comparing them, we need to be, of course, looking at the wider grasp, looking at everything that this team is doing, and look no further than their talisman, Harry Kane.
Yeah, Harry Kane has been absolutely unbelievable at the start of this season. If you look at the overall performance that they've delivered, incredible. In terms of digging into the detail a little bit more, touches in the box, they are 4th in Europe goal conversion. They are 4th in Europe at 18.3% of their shots turning into goals, and they top Europe in average goal difference per game. Now, the Sofascore rating, in terms of rating the individual players, they have them second. We'll get to who's first in just a moment, but you see, in terms of Kane, in terms of what he delivers, in terms of those touches in the penalty area and the level of creativity that they have. But it's all 4 of them, JD. You're pointing to all 4 of them.
Look at their togetherness, Whitney.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I think has centered in terms of what's been successful for Bayern this year. Their togetherness, their unity, their understanding of all of their roles. But I know the conversation immediately. So this is the part where the Real Madrid fans can enter, the Inter Milan fans can enter, the Arsenal fans can enter the conversation, because how they rank against those other top teams is going to help us decide their conversations today. When you overall look at it, the output from these guys individually, whether that's Kane, whether that's Olise, whether that's Gnabry, and of course, Lucho Diaz, they seem to be all contributing at the top level. Are you surprised when you see the breakdown of any of these stats, though, Witty, in terms of looking at their output?
I mean, 19 goals for Harry Kane. I mean, it's a ludicrous number. And it was actually interesting because I thought the game this past weekend against Borussia Dortmund, the biggest aspect of his game that he showed was his ability to create from deeper positions. He has a free role in this Bayern team, and yet he is simultaneously a creative engine for this team, but an absolutely clinical goal-scoring engine for this team in a season where I think we're starting to ask the question, how much longer is Harry Kane going to do this on this kind of form? I think we stop asking that question now going forward. He's been this level of dominant. But just to talk about the way that he's playing right now, it's kind of fascinating. Obviously, we see the goals, we see the duels, we see all this. But if you look at here, the average position, look at the other players on the pitch. You have Luis Diaz, you have Nico Jackson, you have Michael Olise. Look where Harry Kane's playing as a 6. This is his average position. He takes almost as many accurate passes in his own half relative to completed passes in the opposition half. he is in a completely different realm in terms of where he's playing on the pitch. And he's always wanted to do this. The problem is almost the anchor on his career and his skills is he's so damn good at scoring goals. Why wouldn't a coach say, can you please play here, higher up the pitch? But he wants to do all this stuff, and he's showing it to perfection how good he is at other aspects of the game.
You know what you're finally seeing from Harry Kane? The final form. You know when Goku got into Super Saiyan mode? That's exactly what we're seeing right now from Harry Kane, because the heat map speaks for itself in terms of his position on the pitch. Yes, he wants to impact the game in a number of different ways in terms of facilitating for his teammates and also being, of course, dynamic in the final third. But I want to showcase something else. If we can move to the heat map, it really identifies the areas in which Harry Kane's game has unlocked into a completely new level. He's not just impacting the game in the goals and what we've seen in terms of for England and for Spurs. In this Bayern shirt, oh, this guy has become a completely different footballer. He's been trusted by his teammates. He's been trusted in the final third. He's been trusted to dictate tempo. I first saw it against Hamburg when they won 5-0, dropping into this sixth position and thinking that he was, I don't know, Beckenbauer in his prime. Now all of a sudden you're seeing an evolution. He's almost playing off of the striker. Think about your prime Zidane's. But we've known this guy for his whole career to be what? A clinical goal scorer. When you can add the way you can dictate the tempo, the through balls that you can play, and now you add the peripheral goal scorer that has been for the 33 or 32 years that he's been. Oh yeah, Harry Kane is the most complete footballer right now in world football. But let's compare it against some of the other great teams across Europe, right? And I know you want to enter the conversation because I'm here to convince you that this Bayern team is definitely the most prolific team in Europe.
Yeah, and it's kind of fascinating because I mentioned Barcelona off the top, but the other three attacking teams I think are sort of on a reasonable level with them are Inter and Real Madrid. Inter and Serie A have put together some really impressive dominant displays where they win by big margins, and you see they're reflected in their goals per game. Maybe their XG isn't quite at that same level. Big chances per game is there, and obviously what Kylian Mbappe and Real Madrid are doing, we're starting to see it as well from Vinicius Jr. This Real Madrid side are really starting to put together some good performances, but by the numbers, by the statistics, Bayern are a level above even everybody else. And again, I do want to stress the fact that they are playing a high level of competition. They've already played Chelsea in the Champions League. They've already played two of the top other competitors, and Eintracht as well, in the Bundesliga. So they're playing good teams, and they're still scoring goals like this.
So wait, the harder question right now, have we done it in the comments? Have we convinced you? Is this the best team in world football right now from an attacking perspective?
Yes. Yes, I really feel, I didn't realize until we dug into those numbers just how far above they are everyone else. If it's sort of on a comparative level where you go, oh, it's, you know, a margin here, a tenth of a point there, you go, okay, maybe I can make some qualitative argument. If you look at these numbers, you can't make any other conclusion beyond Bayern Munich are the best attacking team in the world right now. They have been absolutely flying from the start. I think their schedule might get a little easier from here. We might see more goals from here, which is preposterous to think about.
More goals, more ability. This guy unleashing himself in world football from a tactical perspective really quickly. Have you loved in terms of what you've seen from them overall? Because it's the way that they're able to do it historically. Now we start looking at the historical context of how good they are. We can talk about where Vincent Kompany seems to have unlocked Lucho Diaz, and of course Olise's taken his game to another level. But now we can start entering the realm, Witty, of comparing them to the other great teams that have played domestically in Germany. And this 71-72 team is well known as being the most attacking team, the best attacking team in the history of the Bundesliga. Now, for context, for those that are unaware, of course, in Germany they play a little bit less games, right? They only play, what, 34 games in the season, correct? Okay, so if you know that you're standing at this stage right now, and after 7 games, they are the leaders in the history of the Bundesliga in terms of scoring goals. Do you see this continuing all the way through, though?
I mean, look at the numbers. They're on 4 goals a game right now. No team has ever come close to that level. So let's start by saying that this is a preposterous level of goal scoring. And again, you're comparing it to that 1971-72 team. We'll draw the line the rest of the way where after 34 games, they finish on 101. 101 is the single season record for goals in a Bundesliga season. So based off of that, Bayern are on pace right now to score 131. They're on pace to break the record by 30.
Say that again for them.
They're on pace to score 131 goals in 34 games. That would break the record by 30, which is unfathomable. I will say this is kind of a little funny part of the line here. You see this big jump. Bayern in 1971-72 beat Borussia Dortmund 11-1 in a Der Klassiker. Gerd Müller scored 4 goals in that game, friends. Beckenbauer scored in that game. Uli Hoeneß scored twice as well. Absolute legends of the club for Bayern. But again, to keep this pace, with all the competitions they're going to want to play in and win. Incredibly high level to have to hit.
Let me tell you what my little nephew would say to me, right? He'd say to me, well, no one cares about 71. They weren't the same level of players, right?
Oh, come on.
Compare me
Come
to
on,
this
guys.
generation.
Come on.
Let's compare to what's happened
Respect
in the
your
last
elders.
25
Respect
years.
your history.
Nah, they'll call you onk for that. That's what they'll say to you, right? And I want to say, from the last 25 years, when you see them in the way they compare against the other great teams in Europe, contextually now, when you see it against your Real Madrid, your PSG teams, your Bayern teams from previous years, Witty, are you more impressed now you see their comparison stats?
I mean, look, this is over the course of an entire season. You look at, obviously, the 21-22 team, and you look at some of the great teams that Bayern have had. Real Madrid as well, PSG. I'm kind of surprised that there isn't a Messi, Suarez, Neymar team somewhere in here in terms of goals per game, but you think of some of the great teams that we've seen. I think they live on in the annals of history because of what they delivered every single game for an entire season. I think we have to give Bayern a little bit of time, see the balance of their whole Champions League schedule, see the balance of what they look like in the latter stages of big competitions. But it is kind of astounding to say that at this point, this is a team on a historic pace. And I don't think we would have said that about this group, especially one of the things we haven't mentioned, they don't have Jamal Musiala right now.
Listen.
He is out injured, and yet without one of the players that we consider to be one of the best in the world, they're still scoring goals like this.
All I'm going to say is Harry Kane, you know, East London's finest. Shout out to Wolf from Stowe. Musiala, Jamal, you already know your connections to the UK. If you ever heard Michael Olise speak, you already know he spent most of his life there. This is basically a UK team. I'm just giving them love like that. This is basically London speaking for itself.